bigger.
Welcome everyone to our 20th episode of Kokoon. And this episode we have Lynn Mooney from Yoga with Lynn as our guest. So thank you so much, Lynn. It's lovely to have you.
And you.
And so this is actually our final episode of this series. So we're coming back, but you're our 20th guest in this series. So thank you for being here. And what I'd like to do first is I always like to start at the beginning. So for those who are watching, Lynn is actually in the UK. So Lynn, whereabouts are you right now?
I'm just outside Liverpool, so northwest. I live about 20 miles from Liverpool, so a little bit more rural, which is nice.
And I actually met Lynn in New Zealand many years ago at an ashram called Anahart. And we were both there sort of staying in and volunteering and doing what we call karma yoga. But that was before you were a teacher. Now you are a yoga teacher with your own business, Yoga with Lynn. So tell me, how did that all come about? So where did your journey as a yoga teacher actually begin?
So as a yoga teacher, so I did health and fitness in 2002, and then I went traveling Australia and New Zealand. So I was a fitness instructor. I did fitness classes before going traveling, and then I was in New Zealand for 3 years and went to live at Anahart. Well, I went for 1 week.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Well, it's beautiful, isn't it? Karen. Yeah. So it was a lovely spot, and I felt like lots of healing was happening there. I was learning lots. So I stayed there for 2 years when you came on the retreat. I was living there for 2 years. And I think just getting lots of benefits from the practices at Anahart and living that holistic lifestyle. I mean, up until then, I was running on fight or flight a lot. You know, the fitness, very high impact and things. And I remember going to a yoga class before I went to New Zealand, and I didn't like it because you had to be still and, you know, because I was operating on the constant go. And I was probably got a bit depleted, really. And then when I went to Anahart, it was going a little bit deeper, and all these practices were helping with healing, being able to calm my nervous system. Yeah, so I got really lots of benefits from Anahart, and then went to India on the way home to Bihar and Rikia Ashram, and then came back and then went to Mandala Ashram, which is in Wales, which does similar practices to Anahart. So following the Satchidananda lineage, doing those practices. So yoga nidra, meditation, karma yoga. And then I signed up for the 2-year diploma course there. And that was for yoga teacher training, 500 hours. It was affiliated with the British Wheel of Yoga. So we go to the ashram every month for training. And then we did residentials 2 weeks every summer for the residential. So again, more healing happened through, well, you know yourself because you've been through that process as well with your training. Yeah.
And so now you teach, you know, I follow you on Facebook and on Instagram, and I see that you do a whole heap of classes in terms of the different audiences, so different groups. So you work with refugees, and you work with school kids, and you do community classes. So it sounds like amazing, but you must need a lot of energy to be able to do that, and because it's different yoga for different audiences. So and sort of traveling around to deliver that. How do you maintain your energy levels to be able to be there and deliver that for so many types of groups of people?
I actually did get quite depleted after lockdown was lifted, because I found a lot of people had a lot of anxiety coming to my classes. I did face-to-face classes as soon as we were able to go face-to-face. I thought that that's what people needed, was to be in that group energy, in that space. It's quite a different feel from a Zoom class to a face-to-face class. So I went back to face-to-face quite quickly. So a lot of people were coming with a lot of anxiety. I was in hotels. We had a lot of Afghanistan refugees arrive, and that was quite traumatic. So I was in quite different environments, and I didn't really look after myself. So I did get really depleted energetically wise. So that was a bit of a wake-up call, really. I had to really pull back and then adopt self-care, really realize that you can't help everyone and you can't give from an empty cup, really. So I've just had to really re-look at things, and I had to let go of some classes, and sometimes now having to say no, which can be quite hard, really, or turning things away, that's not working. I just let one community class go, actually, because the numbers weren't sustainable, and I'm quite busy. I'm busy with other things that day. So I've had to say, I'm going to have to let this class go. So I think being able to look at things and also finding ways where you can have time alone to really pull your antennas back in from being out there. And also one of my community classes, when I started up after lockdown, I had a lot of people come and telling me the problems after class. Sometimes I'm there half an hour after the class, and I'm not really a therapist, so I had to really, they're telling you quite deep stuff sometimes, open up. And then the following day going into the refugees, which have also been through quite traumatic things, and whether they tell you it through the mouth, you can feel it sometimes energetically wise, because they're carrying things. So just learning to adopt some boundaries, really, which I'm still working on, because I'm not a therapist, and if people need more professional help, maybe directing them to go to speak to somebody, because I've not got those tools, really.
And there are times for you, so this happens with me, like where I know, okay, this month is going to be like really busy, and do you have any sort of things at the end of that month or that busy period that help you to sort of recover from that? So not the sort of normal self-care things, but do you do any sort of techniques or anything in particular to help you to recover when it's been really, really busy?
Yeah, because it's going into quite sometimes overstimulated environments, the children in the primary school could be, I've just been doing 2 days, so that was quite hard, allowing them to express, because they're told to sit on the mat all day, so you want them to move and express themselves, but also you need a little bit of control within the environment. They can't have them, so it's finding that balance. And also, going into hotels and things, or there's a drop-in centre with the refugees, and it's chaos, because a lot of them, it's a chaotic environment. I come out there frazzled, and I've only been in there for an hour. So so I think coming back to my own energy field, and maybe turning social media off, maybe just being in silence, and maybe going for a walk in nature, listening to the birds, the trees, even sometimes getting the harmonium out. I got it out the other day. I've not had it out for a little while, to be able to sing and just chant. But that overstimulated environments, and also social media, or sometimes watching YouTube things, it's constant input. So being able to switch everything off and maybe take a bath or a walk in nature, or get my yoga mat, which I do daily, getting the harmonium out, sitting for meditation, anything that doesn't require, that can take the antennas back in, that's not so externalized, because it's a busy, the world just seems to be getting more busy. Things are coming to us quite quickly.
And what do you wish you knew at the beginning of your career as a yoga teacher, to sort of tips on how to maintain your own wellness, that things that you do now that you never did at the beginning, that you think, oh, that would have really helped me if I did that from the very beginning?
I think really I didn't realize, because I've come from, I was fitness instructor, worked in a gym, did exercise classes, that I thought yoga would be like an exercise class. But it's not. It's totally different. It's a healing practice for people. So you're kind of holding space for them and whatever they bring into the mat, whatever they've been through. And energetically wise, it can be quite exhausting, because it's not just like a physical workout where you're doing squats and it's high energy, and you're maybe on the spin bike and taking them through and keeping them motivated. It's a very different. You're taking them to maybe a place of stillness, or that inner place where they can maybe look at things. So energetically wise, it's a very different scenario, and it's very different with sitting in an office where you get tired mentally. This is an energetic exhaustion, and I didn't really realize that. I took on quite a lot of classes initially, and didn't realize that you could get quite depleted quite quickly. So, and I went to a workshop at the weekend, and the lady, it was for grief, and she has her own yoga brand and takes people away in holidays to South India. And I spoke with her, and she said, we've just went, because we went around the circle and asked why everybody was there, and to realize what everybody had been carrying in the circle. And then this teacher had to hold space for all of what they'd been carrying. And so she said, we've just been around the circle and you see what everyone's carrying, but you wouldn't have known that, only that we've asked them to open up about it. So you'll go into environments which are, people have been through traumas. Even sometimes the children are carrying traumas from their parents. So you're holding space for that, really. So it's not often seen visually. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's different. It's a different. You're working with a more subtle energy, really.
But still very sort of strong and impactful.
I think when you're an empath, when you can you can tune in and maybe feel what people are feeling. Sometimes there's something wrong before you even approach them. Then I think you can absorb a lot. So being able to have a daily practice, coming back to you, maybe a protection. I've learned to do my chanting, and maybe in a triangle, visualizing yourself in a triangle to protect your energy, or a mirror. I don't want to get too spiritual, but it's you're working with, because in the gym, I was working in the gym, I was doing a yoga class and a legs, bums and tums class, and both the classes were very different. You can see one's high impact and you feel you're buzzing after it because you're in that motion, and the other one, you're trying to draw them in, calm the nervous system, and have the opposite effect, so they can go within and maybe address the things that they're trying to distract themselves from through continual exercise or stimulus, drink or coffee. Often fix. Social media can be another fix. So we can distract ourselves with many things, and we often don't get on the mat to sit still or look at the mind and see what's happening within us. So,
and sort of talking about social media, because it's sort of a necessity now to run a business, and just to let people know, particularly as a yoga teacher, where your classes are, and to promote and things like that. But how do you navigate that? Because it can be so addictive, and you can get really sucked into it, and before you know, you've just been sitting there scrolling, or you've posted something that you think, oh, I love this post, and then you can go back to see, did anyone else like it? So how do you navigate that? So how do you balance that? It's a necessity for your business to thrive, but you to maintain your own wellness by not getting sucked into that, to the dangers of social media.
that's a big distraction for me. I'm glad I'm not the only one, because that's a very, and sometimes you're drawn into comparisons as well. They're doing really well, or they've got a fabulous life, or, you know, so you can end up coming off social media feeling depleted, more tired really sometimes. So for me, I'm having to really monitor that, actually go on, because it is a really good advertising tool. For me, it's very, I can pop, you know, because sometimes I put posters up and things and people don't see them. So it's really good to, because I've started a yoga nidra in a different venue. So just to, for advertising, it's really, really useful. So I think using it for that, for what's needed, and monitoring, because scrolling, you can go through and know what they're doing, and you know what, you know, so it can be quite detrimental, I think, sometimes. So finding that balance, I'm learning that, actually. I'm having to be, it's finding a discipline again, like you're getting on the mat daily, that's a discipline. But I think also with social media, you need to discipline yourself, you know, okay, I'm going to go on now and check, and then, you know, be really firm with yourself, maybe turn the phone off, or turn, you know, okay, I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to get out in nature, because I'm going to get more benefits from being out an hour in nature than I would an hour scrolling on the phone. So doing what it's used for, what it's good at, but don't get too pulled in.
Yeah.
I'm learning with that.
And can you, because I mean, yoga is so transformative. Like, I know, like, I'm completely different person to when I first began my yoga journey. But thinking about some of the people that you help without, you know, breaching their privacy and anonymity, can you share a story about one of the most sort of or inspirational breakthroughs that you've had from someone that you've taught yoga to?
I think it's helped a lot of people, you know, often a lot of the refugees, it's helped, even the community classes, you know, it's, people keep coming back because the practices help, you know, it works, the practices work, and they don't, you can stay with the practices, you don't have to fluff them up, you know, you can, the ancient practices work, so you can stay with them. The refugees, there's been lots of stories. We're doing a yoga weekend for refugees with Tools for Inner Peace. That's the charity that I deliver on behalf of. And I just nominated 2 people that can go, and it's all paid for, it's all inclusive. One of the ladies, you know, she had a really good job in Iran, you know, she was really nice lifestyle, but she'd had to leave for some reason. So I was going into the hotel every week. This kind of transformed her, because she was there weekly, and then she was able to get a job volunteering, you know, work with her emotions. And she signed back up in college now. She's doing her English in college. But there's been lots of stories like that with the refugees, most definitely. But even with the children, you know, I've been going into the school since just after pandemic. So a lot of them, you know, come in with they were carrying a lot of anxiety, maybe from their parents, you know, that shoulders up here and walking, and, you know, a little bit less confidence and not able to interact with each other, because a lot of the children have been in lockdown. I started teach the children at reception age, so they're 4 up till 4. I started preschool now as well, so 3 up till 7, 6, 7. So a lot of them had quite a lot of anxiety, social interaction. They didn't want to hold hands and things, so it really affected them. So now to see them, they're like, oh, I'm so pleased to see you, and they know the practices. I mean, even the preschool, you're doing the breathing exercises, you go in and they know it. They'll tell you this. And so for them to have the tools at quite a young age, you know, I just did a primary school, and some of them were going into SAT, so I was giving them tools for the deep breathing and you know, Brahmari, the bee humming breath, you know, things to calm the nervous system so that they can focus on the task in hand. But yeah, I think with the children as well, and also like the it's quite a competitive environment sometimes. Even it's taught from a young age. I see it in the primary school. If they feel that they're not good or they don't win a game, we play games with them, they'll start crying. So just reinstating that they don't always have to win. Everyone's got quality to bring to the table. They don't have to be the best at everything. And trying to kind of break down the competitive environment that's often installed from quite a young age in the school. You know, they have to be top of the class, whereas some of them, the strengths might lie in other areas. You know, it might not be the academic, it might be physical, or it might be quite creative. So for them to be able to find what their strength is really, and not worry about being top of the class and being the best at everything all the time. So trying to break down that competitive environment also. You know, everyone's got something to bring to the table. So yeah, and just to see those tools, them absorbing the tools and the techniques from a young age that they're able to take through life, actually.
Yeah. No, that's great. And so from doing this interview with now my 20th guest, I've found that when I ask this question, there's usually two camps. So we're talking about goal setting. So some people are more like, I go with the flow and I see how the universe unfolds for me this year. And then others are like, no, I have my goals and I try and stick to them. So which camp are you in? And if you are a goal setter, what are some of your goals for this year and how are you going in terms of achieving them?
I'm not really a goal setter, actually. I thought I'm going to struggle with this one. I mean, it's good. I think it's good to have things, you know, to aim for. I know, but I also think it's good to be in the present. Don't miss the moment also. But I've often just followed my heart, which I don't know if that's I've often followed my heart. I think going forward to be able to sustain myself financially in this in the yogic world, because sometimes, you know, it's kind of to find a way to financially sustain what you're doing, and also energetically to make sure I'm doing that self-care regularly, getting on the mat, bringing in disciplines, and also self-evolution for me to grow as a person, evolve spiritually, you know, physically, and but also being open to opportunities and change as well. You know, sometimes you can set goals and then it might take us on another path. We might end up going another way. So I think being adaptable really, and yeah, I haven't got lots of goals actually.
Yeah, that's fine. Like it's all about what works for you, and everyone, as I said, there's lots of different approaches to that. So yeah.
But yeah, I think being sustainable, physically, energetically sustainable, and also financially finding a way that you're able to draw an income.
Yeah. I think they're good goals. I think they're smart ones. So, my final question is because we get a lot of people who are just either thinking about entering the industry or have just started. What advice would you give to them to avoid burning out? Because as we know, what happens is you become qualified and then you're like, I want to help everybody. And then you cannot help everybody and you end up burning out. So what advice would you, in addition to the great advice you've already given, what advice would you give to someone just starting out so that they don't burn out?
Taking that time. So I forgot to say, actually, after a busy day, sometimes I'll come home and do a yoga nidra. Yoga nidra is a brilliant tool also, you know. So this is really good for the nervous system. So making sure you take that time on the mat, even if it is just 15 minutes, you're sitting doing whatever works for you, or, you know, or if it's a walk in nature, whatever brings you that connection. But making sure that you keep coming back to yourself, you know, like even maybe before you go into a session, often if I'm quite busy, I'll sit, I've got 10 minutes in the car, I'll chant, or I'll sit with the eyes closed, watch my breath, come back inwards. So I think not overdoing it, not taking too much on. Also valuing yourself. Also, often I've like price-wise, I often, I'm too like, I don't charge enough sometimes. I just started a massage because I did a massage course and I wasn't charging enough. So I think honoring your value as well. If you've spent a lot of time training in something and also a lot of money, then honoring that really, and don't be afraid to set a price cap really on your business. And also fear can be a big thing, I think, holding people back. Just try it. If it doesn't work, that's fine, move on. Fear can be a big thing that holds us back, especially my teacher training. I was quite fearful. We were doing mini teachers and I was thinking, I can't do this. And self-talk, a lot of self-talk coming in, even though I taught fitness classes previously and worked in gyms, so I think not listening to the self-talk. If you are a person that's, can be quite hard on yourself, don't listen to the self-talk and don't let fear hold you back. And also, I work with different groups, so you can't be too egotistical either. You're going into different environments and realizing that we're all the same at the core, really. We all just want our needs met, really, safety, security, food. So and we all have the same emotions, whether people mask it well or don't. So I think not having arrogance, really, not being too arrogant, try and be humble, and try and be present also, not being too far in the future. I want this, I want that, and you're forgetting, being grateful as well for what's arrived at the present.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. And so do you have any final words before we wrap up our chat?
Thanks for inviting me. That really is nice of you. Thank you, Karen. I've enjoyed it. So I get a little bit nervous with it's different teaching a class, but sometimes video and things. But thank you for allowing me to share. And I hope to see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, that's it for episode 20 of Kokoon. Thank you so much, Lynn, for being our guest. And we'll be back with our new series very, very soon. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.